Like, it take a real motherfucker to get sober.
Entrepreneurship is a mindset. It's not necessarily what you do. Because I promise you, if you're doing it for the right reasons, you will be okay.
What do we know about trauma scientifically? It changes the chemistry in the brain.
We can relate to one another, you know. That's why this camaraderie is so awesome, because we just get it and we don't judge.
You can't fight new battles with old tactics. Your thoughts become your words become your actions become your character becomes your destiny.
What do you want to be remembered by when you're gone?
What's Grounded, fam? It's your boy Johnny Gio. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Grounded Phoenix podcast. As always, the purpose of this channel is to express vulnerability and expand awareness to addiction, trauma, and mental health. Joining me today is Desiree, aka the Massage Gypsy. What's Grounded, though?
Hey, Johnny. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you making the time today. Just enjoying another beautiful afternoon out here in California. Same as you.
Yeah, man, we're both in Cali. You're in North Cali, I'm more in South, but it's been a long time coming. We're supposed to do this a couple of times and we didn't get the opportunity to, so I'm really excited about it now to get to know you more and allow you to share about your trials and tribulations along with some of your life's purpose now, because I think that a lot of what you do really resonates and relates to a lot of the stuff that I went through in my life, and now to a certain extent I use in my day-to-day life for wellness and well-being and even recovery. So I just want to go ahead and say right now that you are not an addict or an alcoholic, right?
I am not. I am a conscious drinker, I'd like to say. I'm not completely sober, but I am not an addict. Addiction does run strongly in my family. I actually have a brother who is incarcerated at the moment, so because of a drug addiction. And I was emancipated from the foster system because my mother turned into an alcoholic during my young teenage years. So she lost custody of myself and 5 siblings. So I do have quite a bit of a history with addiction. But personally, I've been able to witness some of the pain that causes in a family and try to be that beacon for my other siblings, let them know that there is a better way and you can learn from other people's mistakes, and it's not just like taking the weak way out. It is there's just as much integrity in learning from other people's mistakes and choosing a higher road, or I shouldn't put it in that way, but it's there's no shame in rising above your parents' addictions and setting a better example for those you love.
Right, exactly. And, you know, that's why I like doing this podcast. It's not particularly for people in recovery. I also do like to open, you know, the doors for people such as yourself that have experienced traumatic events or situations where it doesn't have to do directly with your addiction per se, but somebody else's. Now, you said you have 5 siblings, or you're the 5th one. Are you the oldest, or where do you land in like your siblings?
I have an older brother, and he's currently incarcerated, but I'm the 2nd oldest, and I have 2 younger sisters and 2 younger brothers. So I'm the oldest girl, and in the Brady bunch, I guess I'd be Marsha. I always my family calls me Desi, and Desi says this, and it's kind of not something I really aspired to be, but somebody's got to break the truth to people when everybody just feels, when we're in a society that's comfortable with lies, like they'd prefer a comfortable lie over an inconvenient truth. I just happen to step into that position of, well, here's my opinion, my blunt opinion, and yeah, so the perks of being the oldest sister, but also I mean I should take more pride in it, and I'm just trying to make light of something that has kind of been a sensitive issue for me. Being targeted just for speaking the truth is not a good place to be, but it's the only place I know how to be, so here I am.
Right. So you mentioned. So I guess you're kind of the oldest, right? Since your older brother, I would just assume that he wasn't really taking on that older brother responsibility. Did you feel like you held that responsibility and you kind of, I don't know, fathered or mothered your younger siblings?
Definitely. I think that falls on, yeah, most older girls. It's just like that motherly nature in women. Not to say that boys can't also like take on that father role and totally be the protector for their siblings. But my brother, unfortunately, it wasn't in his calling. So I did definitely grow into that young mother hen. And we had a great childhood. Don't get me wrong; it was great. But my mom just found more fun in drinking once we relocated to Santa Rosa, up in Northern California. We moved in with some family, and my mom got a little taste of freedom, and she ran with it. And who wouldn't after having 6 kids? And she, up until I was 14. So, I mean, I can kind of understand where she just wanted a break, and not having my dad in the picture, she just ran with that little bit of freedom. So I can't blame her as I am growing into an adult myself. I don't want to hold that grudge. I definitely want to forgive. I'm not forgetting, but just developing a stronger relationship with her by speaking the truth about how that made me feel having to mother her children. And even to this day, I still am constantly the older sister for my siblings, where they can't call my mom and ask her things. But it's a good feeling. I'm not resenting it as some people say, like, oh wow, isn't that a burden on you? I actually really enjoy being there for my younger siblings, and it's like a good preparation if I ever do have kids of my own. So you have kids, don't you, Johnny?
I was just about to say that. Yeah, I do have 2 boys myself, and I was just about to say that. Yeah, I was about to say that it just gets you ready for you being a mother yourself. You're gonna be a pro. You really are, because there is no book or manual. Or I mean, I'm pretty sure there is, but nothing like real life experiences can get you ready for being a parent. And let me tell you, I was not ready, but I know I did want kids, and for me, I'm like a hands-on learner. I can read and do all of these things, but I'm more like a hands-on visual type of learner. And yeah, I gotta say, like, I think you're probably ready for it right now. How was the foster system growing up for you? Like, what was it like? Were you like in a foster home, or what was that like?
Yeah, unfortunately, I spent 6 months in a children's home, and it was pretty eye-opening. It's one of the main reasons, like, I'm a big supporter of anarchy and sovereignty. I think the government has way too much power in our lives. That's because I watched them come in and remove me and my siblings from my home in one night. Within 30 minutes, since then, I've never been under one roof with my family again. Like, it's just, so to have one police officer come in and make that decision, one CPS worker make that call over whatever information they received, that to me was way just shocking. And even at 14, I realized that. So, yeah, I did spend some time in a children's home. I think that could be a whole nother podcast. But it's crazy to know what the other kids went through. I felt like I was out of place there. Like, there was some girls because they separate the boys and girls, but there were some girls in there that had been through some serious trauma, and I mean, it was very eye-opening and humbling to spend time with them, and it made me really grateful for the family that I did have, and it made me fight for getting emancipated at 16. As soon as I was old enough, I went to the court and stood in front of a judge and told him to consider me an adult, because I believe I am, and I have my grades and my job, and I was well on my way to being a mature adult. So yeah, I was emancipated at 16 and got out of the foster system. So I was only in there for 2 years. But the rest of my siblings, they aged out. I was the only one who emancipated, which means at 16 I was like nobody. I wasn't a ward of the court. I was completely independent on my own. So that was, I look back, and at the time, it's like there was no other option. It was kind of like, duh, this is, I'm not going to have some social worker telling me when I can do. Yeah, it was a little frustrating. So if there's one thing I can say about the foster system, it's don't put your kids through it.
Right on. No, for sure. How has that experience affected your life afterwards? Is there any silver linings that came out of that, or anything that maybe has you a little traumatized?
Oh yeah, there's lots of silver linings. I think someday I could actually do like some somatic work with massage therapy. Somatic massage is like the emotional experience and the emotional trauma that the body holds onto, and working that through through the emotional trauma through massage and allowing for that release to happen in the body. So I think potentially in the future, after I take many, many, many more hours of training and probably a lot of psychology classes as well, so I know how to handle other people's trauma, I think I could give back and work with the youth that are in the same position that I was, just to be able to be that guidance, that safe space, and understanding just of support. Because if I didn't have that from the kind strangers in my life, I wouldn't be where I am. So definitely a silver lining in that.
That's awesome. So you are a massage therapist right now, and you've been doing that for a cool minute, right? I got like a few questions on that, because I have, and one of my homies does too. So I'm hoping he watches this one. Lower back pain that just doesn't seem to leave. Like no matter how much stretching I do, should I get some like heat stones and a massage, or what do I do? Or continue stretching? I have a very tight hip area. What do you recommend? I'm just gonna take advantage of this moment right now.
Well, if it's from an injury, that could need like some deeper work. You could need some, we call it MFT. It's myofascial therapy, because you're going really deep into the muscles and literally realigning them. So if you have an injury and it has scar tissue buildup, you'll need somebody to get deep in there and break that down before you'll experience any pain relief. Hot stones are great. Just don't burn yourself. But hot stones are great at breaking up the surface tension and then allowing you to get into those, the knots that are causing the pain. It could be that you actually have like tight quads and you need to stretch your quads, because if you think about it, your legs are pulling down on your lower, like if you have your quads are tight in the front, it's going to also pull on the antagonist muscle. Like you have complementary muscle groups. So if one's tight, you have to like stretch them both and engage them both in order to get that balance back in your core. there's so many different things it could be. And if it's like a postural deviation, say like maybe you rolled an ankle and now it's carried all the way up your side body and you're compromising when you walk, and that's sending referred pain to a point in your back. It's really something I would have to get my hands on, or another healer would have to get their hands on and trace back, because you can follow the referred pain in the body and trace it to its origin or its source, or just the air, it breaking up the blockages in the meridian to allow the energy to flow again and relieving the pain. So there's so many different things I really would have to get my hands on to understand. But my best recommendation is heat. Heat is great. And like trigger point therapy. If you feel a specific pain point, get a tennis ball after you've gotten it warmed up. Get a tennis ball and roll on that, or a lacrosse ball is a little more dense. If the tennis ball isn't enough pressure for you, do a lacrosse ball, because those are harder, and that's the best I can do without getting my hands on you.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for that insight. I think you made a great point. So first, okay, we're going to move on from this subject. But first, I just want to say that I have a high arch. My quads are definitely tight, and I did have a job where it relied a lot on my lower back, and maybe I wasn't lifting properly. So that could be all accumulated to that. But moving forward, enough about me. I just had to shamelessly throw my lower back pain in there.
No, yeah. I love it. Yeah, any other questions that you have about like body mechanics? I'm all about it. It's all related. Everything comes back full circle. So shoot it from the hip, whatever you got.
I got you. My hips are kind of tight, so I might not be able to do any type of shooting right now. So I want to get into on how you became a massage therapist, because I know how, but I want you to share the story to the world on how exactly your journey in massage therapy came about, because it's such a touching story and very inspirational, very purpose driven. So please talk about that story.
Thank you for first of all taking the time to watch my YouTube channel. I appreciate that. I'm just getting started, but that was kind of my introduction to the YouTube world, was telling my story on how I came to find massage, and I'll brief it for you. But I had a dear friend in high school after I'd been emancipated. Her mother really reached out and just took me under her wing and treated me as if I was one of her daughters, and showed me what it was like to have a responsible mother. And for the short time that I did know her, her name was Erica. She was just such a blessing to have. And unfortunately, she passed away our summer of our junior year in high school, going into senior year. But before she passed, she had purchased massages from her personal therapist, and those were gifted to us after we graduated. So it was like, even in death, Erica was still giving to us, and that just like moved me into a state of that purpose. Like, this is it. She's speaking to me. I had no idea what to do after high school. I was working at Hooters. Like, I had a broken wrist from snowboarding, serving beers. Like, it was just, I really had no direction whatsoever. So just to have that come into my life, I quit my job and started school, and 9 months later was a certified massage therapist, and I've been doing it ever since. So that's been my way to provide for myself. And for a time, my younger sister, she lived with me for about a year and a half. A year ago, she's living on her own now, thankfully. But it's been a great way to provide for myself, to I really feel that I'm doing work that's impactful in the world, and I'm touching lives, not just by like saying nice words. Not that that doesn't have an effect as well, but I'm a hands-on learner, and to be able to make somebody's physical, emotional, spiritual state change in the matter of 60 minutes is it's out of this world. It's like a magic power. I feel like when people are like, you have magic hands, I totally get that. That's what made me become a therapist. After I received my first massage, I was like, you can do this? You can you can feel this good in your body? This is possible. And I signed up for school like that week. I was sold on massage, and going through school and learning to heal my trauma through this physical expression. It was, there's this line in massage, it's you give a healing, you get a healing. And that is like, that's so true. And if you've never given a massage, try it out. Do it from your heart. If you're just doing it to like, fine, I'll just do it. It's not going to have the same effect. Your intention is everything. And I think I was looking for that healing so deeply, subconsciously, but so deeply at that point in my life. And I received it from a message from Erica, and I just followed it. And so I'm still just following that. I don't really have much further direction beyond that, but hoping to follow that silver lining that I mentioned earlier. And I am going to school again, a real college, I guess you could say, not massage school. So yeah, just living the dream.
Yeah. Of course, one day at a time right now. It's crazy you say like real college, because I don't know, sometimes I feel like we have like this idea of like what real college is, like I think now you could get like a legit education through the internet. Like there's so much information out there. Like if you're really wanting to learn, you can educate yourself. It's the thing about college is, you got an instructor there, maybe they're on you and stuff like that. But I think that what you went through is real college, because where are you going to learn how to that feeling of giving back and the effect of getting back while you're giving, like what you just said is so empowering to give back to somebody and then heal them, but at the same time you're healing yourself by giving some sort of service that allows the person to feel better. And that's how I feel when I do this podcast. So if you're I'm gonna tell you right now, I really do feel like you are on your purpose, and it sounds like you speak so passionately about it. I just never heard anybody talk about massage like that. So like now my boys, I mean, I'm just saying, it's a beautiful thing. Like my boys, they always ask me for a massage before they go to bed. I rub on their back, I'll give them a massage, and they pass out. They love it every single night. But sometimes I kind of do it. I'm just like, oh, okay, fine. But now I'm gonna make sure I'm just like, oh, you're getting a massage tonight. Like, I'm gonna put your ass to sleep. Because you're right. You're absolutely right. That energy, I'm transmitting like that energy to them. Like, oh, this was just half-assing this massage right now. And they could probably feel it.
I'm sure they can. You should ask them. Try it. Try the difference.
Yeah. Let's see. They were like, damn, Dad, what are you on today? What the hell? Like, that shit's good. So, you said that you in your family, you're the one that's like, oh, Desiree says this, and I know that you actually mentioned to me that you wanted to talk about a podcast that was called Uncommon Sin.
Oh yeah.
What is? You remember that?
Oh, I think I might have been in one of my sassy moments, but I do. It's just, it feels like common sense isn't that common anymore, and it's more like of an uncommon thing to hear somebody speaking so truthfully, and without these social, political correctness, maybe. I'm not sure, social correctness, or I'm not sure. But yeah, it's shocking when I start socializing with people in the grocery store or wherever I might be out in public, and start to kind of realize that the the average conversation is not that stimulating and very repetitive and conforming. And when you do speak out on it, you're cast aside or ostracized. Like, anyways, that's, yeah.
No,
I
I
get really
feel you on that. I
sensitive.
definitely feel. Yeah, it's all good. Go ahead with your bad self. I was talking to somebody on the last podcast, and we talked about how it's hard to connect with people that are kind of not on the same frequency as us, especially when you feel like you do have a purpose, especially when you don't want to just talk small talk. Do you feel that way in a sense where sometimes it's just like, bro, like, if we're not having a stimulating conversation, then like I'd rather not hear it. What is it like for you?
Pretty much, and I feel bad that my face doesn't hide it, because I wish I could play it off and pretend I was interested. But no, I'm the same way. I don't suffer fools lightly. I've been told that by strangers. So it's pretty obvious when I'm not engaged with a conversation, or that conversation is bringing down like my IQ. It feels like if somebody wants to choose to talk about stuff that's degrading, or just criticizing, ridiculing, putting others down, like not on a conscious level, I will just remove myself from the situation. And that is no sweat off my back, because there's that saying, like, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. That is very true. So
No, I feel you.
yeah, I'd rather read a book or hang out with my dogs, take them for a nice run down to the river. There's there's no reason that anybody should subject themselves to something that's not mutually beneficial. And it does sound a little selfish saying that, but it's really not. If you're compromising your energy for someone that's just going to keep leeching your energy, your intuition it knows, and just follow that. And don't be afraid to be alone. It's one of the most comfortable places you can be.
I feel you on that. I think I'm getting too comfortable being alone, to be honest. I kind of like it.
All the way down there in SoCal, it's hard to find some peace and quiet.
It really is. But hey, like, if you can actually make peace and quiet in your own mind, even though all of this stuff is going on. You talked about the subconscious mind and thinking subconsciously. I feel like a lot of people, they don't necessarily know about the subconscious and conscious mind. They really do feel like that's their personality. And once I learned about both and separating the two and being conscious about what I ingest and what I consume throughout my life in all aspects, that was a huge game changer. What is one way that you practice being alert on what do you let into your subconscious?
I would say just recognizing your triggers on things that make you uncomfortable or upset you or throw off your flow. Recognizing what those are, because that's your subconscious telling you there's a problem, there's a reaction happening, a fight or flight, or something, or it might be excitement even. And if your subconscious is telling you something's exciting you, then maybe that's how you can follow your passions or learn what your passions are. I think so many of us are forced into into things at a young age, and we're not able to find those passions because we think this is just who we're supposed to be. So if you feel that there's something that lights your fire or triggers you in a good way, good, bad, or indifferent, notice that. That's what I've been doing. I mean, I'm not wise and old yet, but but where I'm at, I have noticed that my subconscious, it kicks on when it's engaged, and I notice it more so when I'm angry, but it's good to notice it also in those moments of pure bliss and happiness and tranquility. That's your subconscious saying that this is good too. So your subconscious can tell you many things, and for me to train it, it's just noticing those moments of that clarity. Like you can clearly recognize an emotion. I feel that's your subconscious, like coming through very clearly and letting you know whether you're on the right path or the wrong one.
Right on. Very well said. So last year was kind of fucked. 2020, to say the least. 2020 was pretty fucked. But how did you manage to like overcome or that obstacle of life? I know you like, I think you lost your job or something like that. What did you go through? What did you learn? How did you feel? How did you overcome 2020? And what are some positives that came out of that? Because I'm not gonna lie, 2020 was probably my best year. Like, just throwing that out there.
That's really encouraging to hear. I would love to hear how you made it your best year. It's probably a good year of growth for me, but 2020 was shocking. It revealed a lot about the same people that I am expected to like be elbow deep in their ass crack, giving them a deep tissue massage, suddenly don't want me 6 feet near them. So I was very, very upset when this first happened, to go overnight from walking into the grocery store, being friends with the cashier, to the next day, her enjoying not allowing me in the store. It was like night and day switch between humanity, and honestly, I was in a pretty dark place for a few months. My overnight lost my job. Sorry, no work for you. And I worked at a beautiful spa, like absolutely heavenly place, my dream job, and I was the lead therapist, and that was just gone overnight, and it's not coming back. They mandated vaccines, so I don't believe in the vaccines because I've already had COVID, and there's mixed messages about all of this shit anyways, so why should anybody be forced to do something that has any sort of, there's confusion about it in the media even, and if you do your own personal research, there's plenty of reasons to wait on a vaccine right now. I don't want to make it political, but basically I quit my job over that. It just didn't feel right to push that onto somebody. So yeah, I've just been doing private clients, and that's been really nice to get closer to the clients that I do have a relationship with, a friendship, and that trust. I would say like that was probably one of the best things about this last year was strengthening the bonds that I do have, and understanding that people's true colors show themselves under pressure. Under pressure, people will show their true colors under pressure, and that's exactly what happened. So it was a little shocking to me, just being in a career that is so personal and close, and working with the breath, and to have that suddenly be taken from you, I felt was scary. And have people be afraid of touch and connection. That definitely was alarming. Realizing that this is going to affect generations of kids that, I lived at the river. This is a little tangent. I'm sorry. I said I wasn't going to get into tangents.
No worries.
So I lived at the Russian River last summer, and I moved out there to get away from the city life. I wanted to be in the rural woods. And there's these two 5-year-old girls running up from the river, and one of them goes to grab her friend's hand before they cross the road. And the parents scream, "No, don't do that." And in my head, I'm just like so confused because first of all, these kids just came from the river, the dirty river, this river. Anyway, they came from the river. They're running barefoot. They're about to cross the road. Isn't the first thing you teach your kid to look both ways and grab the hand and like go together? Isn't that like? So it was just like I said, a total night and day switch of humanity, and to like, I witnessed that all the way out in the woods. It's just, man, I'm very concerned for how this generation of youngsters is gonna cope with, connection and touch. So I'm glad to hear that you massage your boys. There's some kids that won't be afraid.
Yeah, no, totally they won't. My boys, last year it really affected them as far as their education, because they couldn't be at physical school, so they had to learn how to use the computer and get on all these apps. And during the process, I kind of had to learn to be more on the computer and get on these apps with them and become like a teacher in a sense. And it did teach me more patience with my boys, but it also gave me more appreciation for teachers and like the school system, even though I feel like to a certain extent the school system is broken, but teachers are fucking undervalued, man. Like I really do feel like what they do, especially to like the youth, like it's important. And there is nothing like a student learning in person, or at least that was the experience for my kids, because I know some kids, they actually excelled on the computer because there was no distractions as the older they get, But yeah, that's one thing that really sucked about last year is like my oldest one, who was 8 at the time, he got behind. He got behind in school and in learning, but to find a silver lining in things, it allowed more time between me and him, more bonding time, more time for me to connect with his education and see kind of where he's at, because I had no idea, to a certain extent I did, but I had no real idea how either far behind he was or what he really needed to work on. So, it taught me patience, and it also taught me how to connect more and be on my son more when it comes to his education. But yeah, last year was just fucking crazy. And just to answer your question on like why it was so good for me, and I don't mean to like to show off or anything, because I know yours wasn't like, I just last year I think one of the reasons why is because I was fortunate enough to work in a field where they weren't letting people go. So I got to say that I was fortunate. I was pretty blessed to work on a field like that. But damn, similar to you, it just really opened my eyes to like how conditioned we as humans are and how unopen-minded we can be at times. And when it comes to pressure, people really go on that fight or flight tip, and people switch on you, But man, I just got so aligned to my purpose last year. I remember you actually were following me around this time when I made like this announcement that I'm going to start interviewing people. And I never would have imagined me interviewing people. It was just me talking about my own experiences. But last year really opened up like this fucking door to me to interact with people such as yourself and other people in the recovery community that has really impacted them positively. So like that's for one. Another thing, like last year I realized how corrupt, how fucked up our government is. Yeah, before I was a sheep. I was straight walking like into the fucking what do you call it, to get slaughtered. And like last year really woke me up. And because of that, I made some investments, and I'm able to quit my job. I just quit recently because of that decision last year, and now I'm doing what I like to do. I'm not big or anything, but I have the freedom to do what I want to do right now, and I'm
That's
sitting on a good
awesome.
enough. Yeah, I'm sitting on a good enough money to do so. So that's why I said last year was like the best year of my life.
Well, congratulations. That's huge. I see now.
Yeah,
Man, to be
yeah.
able to
Thank
quit
you.
your
I
job,
appreciate.
that's a good move.
I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm freaking filthy rich, but it was. I can do that. I can do that, right? We're at the point right now where I'd like to do the segment. It's called Flip It on Them. So I'm gonna allow you to be the interviewer, and you can ask me a couple of questions. This way, you can also get to know me a little bit more because I know that's something that you wanted to do.
Yeah. Uh, well, I was just a little curious about what inspired you to start this channel and like to start seeking that, like I almost feel like it's like a little therapy, like for sobriety. Like I I'm just curious what made you turn that new leaf in life.
Yo, well, first of all, I really do believe that things happen for a reason. And I was, in 2019, I went to community college for alcohol and drug abuse counseling. This was right after I split up with my kid's mother. I was like at a low point in my life, back in my mom's house. And I decided to go back to school. And I remember after finishing this semester, for the alcohol and drug abuse counseling course 101, the professor told us like, yo, there's so many programs out there, there's so many things that help the recovery community. What is something different that you could do that's not out there? Or what's a way you can contribute back other than just being a counselor? So I really took that home with me, and I was on the fucking floor, sleeping on the floor in the living room at my mom's house with my sister, on her bed because we shared the living room. And I was like, I was really big into YouTube videos and motivational videos. Those are like one of the key ways that I reprogrammed my subconscious mind and how I maintained my sobriety at first. So I was like, hey, Michelle, I was like, what do you think if I make a YouTube video, just one YouTube video on how I got sober? Because it's not the traditional way. I didn't go to AA or NA. And she was like, I think that's a great idea, but why are you just gonna do one? I'm like, because I don't like being on camera, and I don't want to do it. Like, I just want to help people with one video, and that's it. And she was like, do it. And man, what I learned about myself is that I sucked at being on camera. I was so uncomfortable. But one thing I've learned is that, like, throughout this process of uncomfortability, I found like how fulfilling it was for me, and it didn't even matter how uncomfortable it was. Like the fulfillment I felt, when I gave back or when I got a message from someone telling me, "Dude, that was deep. I really appreciate it." I went through the same exact thing, and they're opening up to me about it. Like that for me was just like, I don't give a fuck how uncomfortable you feel. You're gonna do this, and you're gonna do it, over and over and over again until you help as many people as you can. So that's kind of how everything got started.
Wow. That takes a lot of courage and self-work to
Yeah,
do that. Just wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Do you think that
of
massage
course.
has a place in the path to recovery for sobriety? Do you think that there could be some community outreach programs teaching people about integrative health and how the system works?
Yeah, I think it has a a huge place, in the recovery community, because I feel like a lot of people that have suffered through alcohol and drug addiction, we carry a lot of trauma in us, and you talk about, getting a therapist to speak your feelings and your emotions and your mental health. Like a lot of these traumas, they're stuck with us physically as well, and it's not just, all mental. So by massage therapy and releasing these trigger points or like these pains, um, you are able to heal through that. I mean, I'm pretty sure you've experienced it yourself, where you probably connect with somebody without even saying a word, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
So I think it has a huge place for it, and I think one thing that I know for sure about the recovery community is you get an extremely overwhelmingly amazing feeling when you give back, and giving back in the sense of like, through the experiences that you went through, whether that's creating a podcast or whether that's being a counselor, whatever it is. And if somebody went through like this very physical traumatic experience and they learn that massage therapy can cause or help somebody to heal, and they take on that profession, they don't have to do a podcast. They don't have to become a counselor. They can see that door where they can help heal somebody else, and that could in turn become their purpose. So I definitely think that there is a place for massage therapy in the recovery community for sure.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about the future and a new career horizons. So getting my wheels turning about places to start looking, or even programs to
Yeah,
possibly pitch in the future. That'd be really
I think that's a great idea. I think that's a great idea because um, I think being open minded and seeing kind of where your service is probably the most needed. Of course, everybody's going to want a massage, but like there's certain people that just kind of haven't gotten one, and that could be extremely life changing. Like we'll take your incident for example. You went through like this traumatic experience where you lost practically a family member to you, and through this massage you got, it opened up a whole new door and it healed you, and it allowed you to realize like, yo, like I have a real big passion for this. Like who's to say that somebody else hasn't been through the same thing, and massage therapy can do the exact same thing as it did for you. And I think that collaborating, like you mentioned, and really seeking uh, the relationship or friendship or partnership with people that are like-minded, in the sense of wanting to help others and wanting to help heal and even learning more for themselves. I think it's important, because the moment I stop being open-minded and learning, I don't know. I just feel like that's real death. You could be alive and still be dead.
That's very true. Well, I love to keep my wheels turning. That's for sure. I just feel like still looking for that direction right now. So definitely not dead yet. Very alive and seeking.
That's amazing. So I'm definitely going to keep in touch with you about that, because I think that's a great idea. I'm pretty sure we can come up with something. We really can. I think we're very like-minded, and you are a really amazing soul. Like I could just tell by the way me and you connect, even from the past. Me and you have connected, and we started conversating, and you're a pretty dope person, especially because I know you like underground hip hop. And I think, wait a minute, now that I remember, there was a post that I did, and the Grouch reposted it, and that's how me and you cyber met, right?
I think so. Yeah, I've met the
Yeah.
Grouch before at one of his shows. He's a really cool guy too. A very enlightened soul. But yeah, I follow him, and I really like I guess in the same sort of genres, like atmosphere. He's a good one. But yeah, there's Eli is really cool. The Grouch and Eli
I
go
love Eli.
together. But yeah, it's one of my first shows was actually. Oop, I bumped the screen. It's actually going to Hieroglyphics. They used to be Souls of Mischief, and now like Del the Funky Homo Sapien He's still part of the group, but it's called Hieroglyphics, and like that was one of my first shows I went to out in Oakland, and I don't know, it was sold on underground hip hop. Always been a fan, always will be. My boyfriend actually, he makes hip hop music as well, and he just recorded a song last night. I'm really excited for him to get that out. But yeah,
Nice.
it's such a passionate, it's another just form of art and a passionate way for people to express this emotion and let it out. And it's a beautiful form of creativity. I love it. My mom says it's like Mozart
really
with
is.
words.
Yeah, no, it really is. Before I let you go, because we kind of extended this, but
Oh, sorry.
I wouldn't mind having you. No, it's all good. I really don't mind having you back on, and we could definitely talk on, ways we can collaborate. So I gotta let you go with this question though, and that is that I believe there's three things in life that are guaranteed, and they're actually marked in our gravestone. That is our birthday, the day we passed, and that dash in the middle that represents the life we led. How is it that you want to be remembered by when you're gone?
I think I'd like to be remembered as a healer.